Hey, good morning. Welcome to Kensington Church. We are glad that you decided to join us online. We are in our third week of our Generations series where we're talking about how we're better together, but also how do we pass down a vibrant faith to the next generation. So really excited about that. We're going to hear from Brent Swenson, who's our discipleship director. So it's just going to be a great day. Again, thanks for joining us, and we're just about to get started.
Just one touch For greater things, there's no power like the power of Jesus. Let faith arise, let all agree. There's no power like the power of Jesus. I will believe for greater things. There's no power like the power of Jesus. Let faith arise, let all agree. There's no power like the power of Jesus. I will believe for greater things. There's no power like the power of Jesus. Let faith arise, let all agree. There's no power like His power. There's nothing that our God can't do. There's not a mountain that He can't move. Oh, praise the name that makes a way. There's nothing that Jesus can't do. There's nothing that our God can't do. There's not a prison wall He can't break through. Oh, praise the name that makes a way. There's nothing that our God can't do. Oh, 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 There's nothing. There's nothing. There's nothing. There's nothing. Oh, 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 There's nothing that our God can't do.
Well, good morning. Thanks for joining us this morning. Yeah, you guys can take a seat. My name is Greg. I'm part of the team here at Kensington Church. So for all those who gathered here in person and those online, welcome. We've got a great day ahead of us. We're in our third week of our Generations series, and so we're really talking about how Jesus uses each generation uniquely in the world and in the culture and as they follow Him, and how we're better together and how we pass along a vibrant faith to the generations that are coming up next. So I'm excited about that. We're going to hear from our discipleship director, Brent Swenson. He's going to give the message, so he's going to do a great job and encourage us and challenge us. But before we jump into that, there's a few things I want to let you know about. This Wednesday is our midweek and outdoor movie night that we've been talking about. So it starts at 8 p.m. It's just going to be a great night, a lot of fun. We've got a giant inflatable movie screen that we'll have out in the lawn. There's going to be popcorn and candy, cotton candy and games and some great music. And so it'll just be a fun time together. And we do this not only because it's just fun to be together as a community, but it offers us an opportunity to invite a friend or a neighbor alongside, or if you're new or newer to this place, it's an opportunity to get to know other families in our church and just build friendships and community. So I really encourage you to come this Wednesday at 8 p.m. And also wanted to remind you, like this morning, we started gathering school supplies for our school partner, Traverse Heights Elementary. Each fall, we gather a bunch of supplies and send them over to the school to make sure that every kid needs what they need over there. And so this morning was a collection day, and then next Sunday as well, we'll be collecting items. So if you don't have that list, you can grab it out in the lobby on your way out. We'd love for you to partner with us in that. So each summer here at Kensington Church, it's our rhythm to look back to see kind of what God has been doing through us as an organization and as a people, but also looking forward to what's next. And so we're going to show a video from Craig Mays, who has been a part of Kensington for over 20 years. And so he's no stranger to Kensington Church. Many of us at our Traverse City campus probably don't have a relationship with Craig, but I'm really excited, as much as I know Craig, to see him lead our team with his pastor's heart and really a passion to reach the lost in the world. So we're going to hear from Craig about where we're heading this next year. Check this out.
Hello, Kensington family. I'm excited to share with you a few thoughts on the coming ministry season. But first, I want to express that I am deeply grateful and humbled to step into the position of lead pastor of Kensington Church, a church I have known and loved and which has had such impact on me for more than 22 years. Every time God has asked something big of me, I have been just like Moses, standing right in front of a burning bush, arguing with God, telling him that he got the wrong guy. But every time, God has won the argument. In the video announcing my position as lead pastor in June, Kensington founder Steve Andrews and I shared that we as a church are moving forward. We expressed our excitement about where God is leading us. But on the heels of that video, our elders and leaders brought to my attention that their work on the 2022-23 budget revealed a need for reduction based on certain economic realities, which would impact our staff and our programs. This new budget reduction, honestly, did not sit right with me. To talk about moving forward only to immediately cut back seemed incongruent. As I thought and prayed about this, I sensed very strongly that there was another path before us. 3 things came to mind. The first was celebration. While 2.5 years of COVID decimated many organizations and churches, that has not been the story at Kensington. Our in-person attendance is still well below our pre-COVID numbers, and yet our giving has only suffered about a 10 to 15% reduction. That is not the story that we are hearing from so many churches. The second thing is perspective. As I thought about the idea of coming to you with news of reduced budget, I remembered so many accounts in Scripture in which we see God asking his people in faith to step into challenges where the odds did not look good. Consider the little shepherd David running at the giant Goliath, declaring victory in advance, and God telling Gideon that his army was too big and to reduce it. In both cases, everyone knew when the victory came that it came from God himself. And the third thing is opportunity. I believe we have an amazing opportunity before us. One of the most remarkable things about this past year is that 3 times we came to you with an urgent need globally. We asked for help for refugees needing to flee Afghanistan and then Ukraine. We shared with you the need for funds to transform our global partners hospital in India into an emergency COVID facility. I don't know if you know this, but these 3 opportunities resulted in over $1 million in giving above and beyond our general fund. This is truly extraordinary. In the midst of COVID, in the midst of low attendance, I ask, how else but God? The size of the gap that we are facing in the budget for next year is about $1 million. As I reflected on all of this and discussed it with our elders and Kensington's leadership team, it became clear to all of us that rather than coming to you with talk of taking steps backward, we should instead maintain the budget and move forward in faith. My desire is to be transparent with you about our current reality and to ask you to join us in trusting God to provide. I know you would want to know this is your church, and to be given an opportunity to respond. Just as we asked for your help with the 3 global needs, we are now asking you to consider helping us to fill in this financial gap in order to allow us to fulfill the vision and mission of Kensington. In the Bible, David responded to the challenges that he faced with these words that we find in Psalm 44:6. He wrote, "I will not trust in my bow, nor will my sword save me." David had his sword, and he had his bow, and he used them, but he never forgot that victory belonged to God. So we are carefully reviewing our budget to ensure that all we invest in lines up with our mission to which we believe God has called us. We're being wise with the tools in our hands. We are doing our due diligence. Yet we know it is God in whom we place our trust, and only through him can we accomplish this. As we look ahead to 2022-23, we are asking you to join us in trusting God's faithfulness and to consider what your role might be in helping us to fill this gap. And if Kensington is your home church, I just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for the open-handedness that we've seen all year long, and I believe we will see in the days ahead. As I think about what's coming in the future, as I think about this fall, the start of the ministry season, I believe that God is going to do abundantly more than all we can ask or imagine.
Hey everyone, I'm on my way to a wedding this weekend, and then I have one of my boys' last baseball tournaments in Muskegon. So just wanted to stop in. By now you've watched Craig Mays and just some of the things that he had to share with us and what we're doing as a church. We're pressing in. Instead of scaling back our ministry efforts, we're really like looking at what God has provided for us through COVID. And we're saying, man, let's lean in and let's trust him and let's go forward. And that's what Craig's talking about. That's what we're excited about. For us in Traverse City, how this affects us, man, there's like 4 things that I want to go after this year. and want to see happen around our campus. I just want to share them with you and just ask you to be prayerfully partnering with us in these things. We think they're so important. So first one is healthy families. Like, we want to see healthy families. We want to see renewed marriages. We want to see parents learning to pour Jesus and God's love into their kids. And we just want to see healthier families, especially emerging out of COVID. That's something that's important to us. The second thing, you hear us talk about reaching the one, but we also want to disciple the 99. When we are reaching people, we want to make sure that as they come into our community and they accept Christ, that we're empowering them and building them up so that they can be the body of Christ, the hands and feet of Jesus. And so we want to disciple the 99. That's the second one. The third one is new move out initiatives. Like, we want to see us move outside the walls of the church to be the hands and feet of Jesus. And I think we're developing this beautiful foundation for this. There's already movement and momentum, but we want to continue to lean into that and just be a church that is aware and meets the needs of the community around us. And then the last thing, the fourth thing that we would just love for you to partner with us in is our global partners. The things that Jesus is doing around the world and the role we get to play in being a part of that. So those four things: healthy families, discipling the 99, move out initiatives, and global partners. And we would just ask, we need you. We need your partnership just to go after this next year. So I apologize for not being able to be there today, but looking forward to seeing you guys next weekend. And just really asking for you to partner with us in those things. And for now, just be praying. So see you soon. Have a great morning. Later.
Anybody recognize that shirt from last week? I don't know. I was in my head, I was like, should I make fun of Joel or should I not? And then I decided I was going to make fun of Joel. Hey, he's a snappy dresser, better than me. So I just want to echo what Craig said and what Joel said, that we are excited about what we see God doing in this next ministry season, but it's not without its challenges, it's not without its needs. And I think, like, all of you that are gathered in this building and all of you who are watching online, you are a part of this place, and it's important to you. You believe in the local church, and you believe in the local church like I do, because the local church helps us to grow to be more like Jesus. Because that really is the main thing, right? When we grow closer to Jesus, our marriage is strengthened. Or when we grow closer to Jesus, our faith is passed down to the next generation. And when we grow closer to Jesus, we draw more people to him. And so that really is the core of why we exist. We gather together to be encouraged and challenged, and then to be sent out as we are modeling Jesus to this world. So we just ask you, again, for those who partner with us in so many ways in serving and giving, thank you for that. And so I do want to let you know that the August 28th is the annual vote. And so I just want to let you know, so that's when we'll be voting on the budget and also the affirmation of the elders. And so all that information is going to be out there. It'll be online for you so you can make your decision thoughtfully. So if you're in person or even online, the vote will be available that morning that you can participate in. But again, thank you for being on this journey together, and as we continue to reach out to our community and spread the love of Jesus around the world. So before we jump into the rest of our day, let's stand up, give a high five, a handshake to those around you, and again, welcome.
We'll see. Good morning. How are you doing? No, like really. No, like no, really. Like don't just tell me great. Like I want you to just think about it for a second. Like, did you hear that? I'm good. Thanks for asking. But I'm a little excited. I'm saying excited instead of nervous. But I just want to just sit for just a second because God wants to share something with us this morning. All right? And he's going to use this fragile, normal person, hopefully to speak right to your heart this morning. And that's the challenge. The challenge is for me to get out of the way and for you to be able to set aside what's going on, your week, finances, marriage, job, whatever. I want to recognize that where you're sitting is a good spot for you, but you might need to take all that stuff and just maybe sit beside you for just a second. God's going to work in that thing, but right now he's got something to say to you. All right? So that wasn't even part of the plan. So this is a wild ride. Here we go. All right. So we've been talking about generations, the importance of intergenerational relationships for the past 3 weeks. And I'll be honest, it's been challenging for me. It's been good, but challenging. The first week, Joel talked about kind of when Moses was leading the people of Israel, and he passed along the baton of leadership to Joshua. And then there was a period where the generation after that missed out on all the things that God had done in the past. For some reason, one generation didn't communicate all that God had done to the next generation. And that next generation just went their own way. They just forgot God, and they just followed the cultures around them and like tried to figure it out on their own. And that was a heavy message for me. I have 7 children, and it just hit me kind of hard, I'll be honest. And it was sobering. Like, what am I passing on to the next generation? And for me, the next generation is like right in my house, or Spokane, Washington, for in the case of my adult kids. But it was sobering. The next week, so that was like the why, right? The why. Why should we have intergenerational relationships? Because we care about the next generation. Last week, Joel talked about the what. Like, what are we passing? Like, what can we do? What does the next generation need? And he gave us a list of 8 things. And I'm not going to give you the list of 8 things again, but if you want to check that out, it's on Facebook and YouTube, and you can check out that. It was so good. This list I'm still chewing on this list of 8 things that I can pass on to the next generation. It was good. It was meaty. But we're not going to replay the list. I'm really excited to share with you the how. So we had the why and the what. Today we're going to talk about the how. How do we do this? How do we pass along this thing to the next generation? Before we get started, I do want to give you an opportunity to partner with us. We have been talking this morning about the offering and giving, and I want to give you an opportunity, like how you can partner with us. There's several ways to give. You can text the word Kensington to the number 77977. You can give in less than 10 seconds on the Kensington app. You can give at kensingtonchurch.org/giving, or there's boxes in the back you can just drop as you go. But it's important that when we participate with God in what he's doing, not only does his work get done, but we get a blessing in return. Like, when you see what God is doing, and God is doing things around here at Kensington, it's amazing. As I hear stories in my position, I get to sit down with people and have coffee and like, what's God doing in your life? And to be able to partner with God in that, in whatever way, is amazing. So you have an opportunity to simply give to what Kensington's doing and partner with all the things that God is doing around here. As we've been exploring intergenerational relationships in this series, we've been sitting with 4 generations of people, Kensington people, as they discussed like some of the issues. So we're going to do that again today. Check this video out.
I think what Gen Z craves is, to be discipled, to be mentored, especially in the church. We want people to pour into us who have, lived their lives following Jesus. and to show us what that looks like and how we can go about embracing that in every aspect of our lives. Because I think a lot of the times we are just so focused on ourselves and what we have to offer. But instead, how can we all, love others better and reflect the love of Jesus better? And I really think that comes through, having people who are intentional with us to pour into us and to pour into other people.
Here's the key word of it all that, the younger generations want is to truly be understood. Not to be taught, but really can you understand why I feel this way? Not flippantly, not passively, not to, yeah, I understand it now, let me tell you why you should do it this way, but genuinely all of your emotional capital, just sit with me and understand, why we're looking for more.
Do you find that your generations are afraid of the tension, afraid of the connections, don't like them, don't feel they're necessary? What are your thoughts about that? Because sometimes that's kind of what I feel. And I feel like the social media gives a false sense of reality, a false sense of self, and it doesn't allow for the real connections.
It's created almost an inauthentic connection. And so while we see people's highlight reels and the best of their life, we don't see the worst of it oftentimes on social media. And I think that really hinders us and everybody in general. And I think it almost creates this isolation. And so to be able to have that connection is so important, I would say.
How would you suggest we foster that, especially outside of the family dynamic?
I would think about the circles that exist, the circles that you're in, the places that you go. For us, that could be church. That could be your job. That could be looking to form some sort of mentorship with the younger generation. All it has to be is one person for you guys to pour into and to even disciple and, teach them, show them the way, and lead them more towards Jesus in that.
They are the next generation, right? They are going to be our people coming up in all of our organizations, all of our social spaces, leading, setting norms, setting expectations. So how do we help them? Do you meet them where they need to be met? You give them truth the way they need to hear it. You take your time. It's not this flip the switch. It's a journey. And that's the costly part of all of this. No matter where you're at in the generation this is not a fix each other thing. It's just let's walk together thing.
Absolutely.
That takes way more time, way more effort.
We love God and we follow Christ and we desire to have his light shine through our lives, but we're human and we make mistakes. And I think part of walking with someone is to understand those mistakes and to see God in those mistakes and to see how God moved in our lives through our mistakes and our missteps. So we're not perfect, you know what I mean? But do we have the love for Christ and love for others? Absolutely. Do we want to provide that and impart that to the younger generations? Absolutely, because his word is true. He saved me. He brought me through all kinds of things to get me to this place. So if that's something that you're willing to have walk alongside you, then absolutely embrace us. And I would embrace you. And only through God's grace can we get there because, we're imperfect people. So.
What she said.
Yeah.
What they said. Wasn't that good? If you really listened, really, that was the how. Building relationships. But we are going to dive into that a little bit deeper. But as I was thinking about this message, and there are many examples of the mentoring relationship in the Bible. We've got Elijah passing his cloak on to Elisha, and he takes over for Elijah. And we've got the Apostle Paul with his young mentee Timothy, and he gives the books of 1st and 2nd Timothy are his instructions to the next generation leader coming up. And then you've got Jesus with his 12 mentees, right? He's got his 12 disciples. So pick your one, pick your 12, and let's go, right? Pass that baton. But I was wrestling, I was trying to think about this message, and I literally watched baton passing videos, like the track baton passing, like maybe there's some spiritual application I can do, like to get this idea of like how do we do this? What are the mechanics involved in mentoring, and how do we reach ahead to the generation before us and reach behind to the, like what does that look like? And it feels awkward, and like it just didn't come. Like, and I'm not like the normal guy up here. This isn't like my normal rhythm to come up with this message thing. And I was starting to panic. Honestly, like, am I just going to tell the story of Elijah and Elisha? Am I just going to, like, go team, go do what they did? And it just didn't come together. So I prayed. Like, when you're in a tough spot, you should be praying. So I prayed, and God reminded me of an obscure story in the book of 2 Kings that fit. And I was like, cool. So that's what we're going to talk about today. We're not going to talk about these mentoring relationships in the Bible or passing the baton necessarily. We're going to talk about 4 lepers in the book of 2 Kings. 2 Kings chapter 7. You can turn there in your Bibles, or we'll have them up on the screen. There are a lot of details and layers kind of leading up to this story. I wish we could dive deeper into that part, but I'm just going to kind of lay the foundation. So the people of Israel were under siege. So the enemy had surrounded their town, and it was a good siege. In other words, nothing was getting in, nothing was getting out. And the refrigerators were empty, and the gardens were empty, and the pets had been eaten, and there was nothing. Like, they were literally starving to death. They were literally eating their own children in the story. Like, can you imagine the desperation? Like, Cora is in the second row here with one of my kids. Hey, she does not look like a snack to me. I can't imagine the starvation they would, like, literally, it makes me upset to think about what I would have to be under to want to eat my children. Like, that's a rough spot. And that's where the children of Israel are. They're eating their children. In this spot of desperation, that's where the story takes place. 2 Kings chapter 7, and this is verses 3 to 4. Now there were 4 men with leprosy at the entrance of the city gate. They said to each other, "Why stay here until we die? If we say we'll go into the city, the famine is there and we'll die. If we stay here, we'll die. So let's go over to the camp of the Arameans and surrender. If they spare us, we live. If they kill us, we die." So here are 4 guys who are outcasts. They're like kind of in between, right? They can't go into the city because they have leprosy. They can't go outside of the city because that's the enemy. Like, they're stuck and they're starving. And they're like, the only foreseeable option we have is to walk up to the enemy and say, "We surrender. Can I have a sandwich?" Like, that was literally the only option they could think of. So they're in super desperate situations. Let's continue. At dusk, these 4 lepers got up and went to the camp of the Arameans. When they reached the edge of the camp, no one was there, for the Lord had caused the Arameans to hear the sound of chariots and horses and a great army, so that they said to one another, "Look, the king of Israel has hired the Hittite and Egyptian kings to attack us." So they got up and fled in the dusk and abandoned their tents and their horses and donkeys. They left the camp as it was and ran for their lives. The men who had leprosy reached the edge of the camp, entered one of the tents, and ate and drank. Dude, they took silver, gold, clothes, went off and hid them. They returned and entered another tent, took some things. They were looting the camp, right? The camp is empty. They walked in and like, we thought we were going to die. And there's everything we could possibly want here. Like, there's so much abundance. They're like hoarding, like, oh my gosh, we found it. Like, we're saved, right? Verse 9. Then they said to each other, "What we're doing is not right. This is the day of good news, and we're keeping it to ourselves. If we wait until daylight, punishment will overtake us." let's go at once and report this to the royal palace. They're like, okay, like we have all we need. Like our bellies are full. We're having a good time. But the city, they need to know about this. So they went and called out to the city gatekeepers and told them, we went to the Armenian camp and no one was there, not a sound of anyone, only tethered horses and donkeys in the tents. They left them just as they were. The gatekeepers shouted the news and it was reported within the palace. So the lepers tell the gatekeepers and the gatekeepers, hey, the enemy's camp is empty. All right, you got the picture. The king got up in the night, so he was in bed. King hears the gatekeepers. He got up in the middle of the night and said to his officers, I'll tell you what the Armenians have done to us. They know we're starving, so they've left the camp and hide in the countryside thinking they'll come out and we'll take them alive and get into. So the king's like, it's got to be a trap, right? He's trying to protect the people. He said, it's got to be a trap. There's no way this camp is empty, right? It's got to be a trap. One of his officers answered, have some men take 5 of the horses that are left in the city. Apparently, they didn't eat these 5 horses, right? Their plight will be like that of the Israelites left here. Yes, they will only be like all of these Israelites who are doomed. So let's send them to find out what happened. So let's send some people. If it's a trap, they'll die, and we'll know. All right? So, hey guys, have fun. Go check it out. So they selected 2 chariots with their horses, and the king sent them after the Armenian army. He commanded the drivers, go find out what's happened. They followed them as far as the Jordan, and they found the whole road strewn with clothing and equipment the Armenians had thrown away in their headlong flight. They were so afraid. They were just stripping off their armor, we're out of here. So these spies or whatever you want to call them, on their way to the camp are finding a trail. They're back trailing this clothes and equipment and weapons. And so the messengers returned to report to the king, apparently it's true. All right? Verse 16. Next slide. It's true. There I am. Hi. Then the people went out and plundered the camp of the Armenians. Woo! And they all lived happily ever after. This is our story. And some of you might be thinking, what just happened? Let me explain. Where are you in the story? Maybe you're a leper. Maybe you're I'm kind of new in this place. I'm really just checking out Jesus. I'm not sure what's going on. I'm just trying to figure things out. I don't necessarily fit there. I don't necessarily fit there. Maybe you're in that spot. Maybe you really feel like you're starving. Maybe you feel it spiritually. You're just so hungry. Maybe you found the loot. Can I tell you a secret? Jesus is the loot. A relationship with Jesus, not knowing about Jesus, not serving Jesus so that you'll get on his good side, a relationship with Jesus is the loot. It's the good life. Here in Traverse City, we're kind of all about the good life, am I right? If you live in Traverse City, you're surrounded by the good life. Even if you don't have the house on the lake, come on. This is a pretty amazing place to live, right? And if you do have a house on the lake, kudos. We're kind of all about that, isolation and, I had another word. Insulation, that's it. Isolation and insulation from the cares and worries of the world. That's kind of what we're heading for, right? We want the good life, and that's kind of what we think the good life is. That's kind of the American dream, right? Maybe we're so distracted that we don't even realize that we're hungry. Have you ever been in that spot? Have you ever been doing something, you're so into it, and you take a step back and you're I haven't eaten in 4 hours. I'm hungry. I was just in that spot this weekend. I was just head down doing something, and I took a step back and I'm I'm a little rumbly in the tumbly. Like, I need to eat. Maybe that's where you're at. Maybe you're headlong into your life, and you don't even realize that you're hungry. You don't even realize that you're starving. I wanted to pull out one other piece of this story. Did you notice the reaction of the gatekeepers and the king? They were like suspicious. Like, the lepers had really good news for them, right? Like, life-saving news. And the king and the people are like, not sure. Isn't that weird? But is it weird? Because we're the same way. Like, if you were walking in downtown Traverse City and a complete stranger walked up to you and said, hey, they're giving away bags of gold around the corner, you'd be like, seems like a trap. Right? We would. It's human nature. Now, same scenario. You're walking down the street in Traverse City. I walk up to you with a bag of gold and say, hey, they're giving away bags of gold in Traverse City. Maybe. Depends on how close we are, right? Depends on the relationship we have. Some of you in the room would be like, let's go. And some of you are like, you seem familiar. Still might be a trap. I'm not sure. Like, it's based on what? Relationship, right? The next generation, we can't tell them that Jesus is the answer unless, first of all, we are acting like Jesus is the answer, right? And second of all, unless we have a relationship with the next generation. Honestly, we haven't done a good job experiencing a relationship with Jesus as the answer in our own lives. We haven't done a good job pursuing Jesus. We've gotten satisfied. We've kind of gotten distracted by building our own little kingdoms, our own little ways of doing things, our own little comfort zones, right? I'm saying we haven't done a good job of falling in love with Jesus. Like Greg at the beginning, like, did you catch what he said? Like, he basically preached my message at the beginning. It's about Jesus infusing our life and then us expelling Jesus wherever we go. Like, that life is incredible. If you've never tasted that life, I'm here to tell you it is intoxicating. It's better than any drug. It's better than any alcoholic stupor that you can get yourself in. To know that the God of the universe is working through you in a situation, it is amazing. Because not only is it working through, this is so incredible how God does this. Like, he's not only helping the person that you're touching, you're experiencing God at the same time. It's like a siphon. Have you ever, you know what I'm talking about? Like, I've never sucked gasoline from a car, but like the principle of a siphon is this. Like, there's a tube from one spot to another spot, and then the pressure takes it from one spot down to the other. Like, we are the tube in the scenario, right? Jesus is infusing through us into the situation, and it is amazing. You may be wondering what this paper towel is. This is not in case I wet my pants. Although it was tempting. So this is the baton that we're passing to the next generation. Unfortunately, the message is obscured because what we want to pass to the generation is how to get a good job and a career, how to be a good person, how to vote right, how to change a tire, how to be nice to their siblings, how to, I can't go, the list just goes on and on about what we want the next generation to hear, right? Doesn't it? Like, we want them to have the good life. And so we just keep passing along the good life. Like, this is what you have to do. Like, this is all the stuff that you need. Here's the baton that we're passing to this is forever. I didn't practice this. But do you get the point? Okay. Just think about what you're passing to the next generation as I keep unwinding. And maybe you've been there. Like, maybe you've been the next generation. You're like, I don't know what stuff I'm supposed to do, because not only are we passing along to the generation, the internet is passing along to the generation. If you want to know how to do something, you go to the internet, and then there's a million different ways to do whatever it is you want to do. How are we supposed to live? Well, the answers are right there. Like, I can't carry all of this. And imagine this multiplied by 100. Like, that's what we're doing to the next generation. That's where they're getting their information. They're getting information from us. They're getting information from the internet. And they have no idea what the baton is. This baton is knowing and following Jesus. It's knowing and following Jesus. It's being in a relationship with Jesus where he infuses you and uses you to impact the world around you. It's not about all of this. This is good stuff. You can clean up stuff that spills with that. But this is the baton. Because once you have this, Jesus adds this. Does that make sense? This is the baton we need to pass to the next generation. This is the baton we need ourselves right here. And we need to hold it tight, and we need to not be satisfied with little snacks, because we're starving, and this is what we're starving for. Don't be satisfied with your relationship with Jesus until you're obsessed with Jesus. And I'm saying that to myself as well. We can't be satisfied with our relationship with Jesus until we're obsessed, until he is part of every part of our life. Not just sprinkled in, but like infused. Now what? We found it, right? Let's assume that we found the baton. Now, how do we pass this along to the next generation? Like, I'm trying to figure this out myself. How do I pass it along to somebody else? How do I teach somebody something I'm still trying to do? I wanted to show a video clip, but I have a picture instead of the struggle between the generations. Do you guys remember Bug's Life? All right, this is like my favorite scene in Bug's Life. I'm going to put this down, start waving it around. This is the scene called But It's a Rock. All right? So Flick, the older ant, is trying to teach Dot, the younger little ant, that it's okay to be young. All right? It's okay to be young. So he gets this idea. I have a great analogy, like a seed growing into an oak tree. And he points to the oak tree. See that tree? It was once a little seed. But he's like, I don't have a seed. I don't have a seed. So he picks up a rock and said, pretend this is a seed. And he hands it to that's a rock right there. And so little Dot is looking at this rock. She's like, but it's a rock. And he's like, like it's a seed. And a seed becomes a tree, and you're the seed, and you're going to grow, and it's going to be okay. She's like, but it's a rock. He's like, just work with me here. And she's like, you're weird, but I like you. There it is. There it is. So profound, like little cartoons. You can come up with the best analogy. You can come up with the best the best list of things to do for the next generation. You can come up, you can, God help you. You can dress like them, try to be like them, try to create a cool environment for them to show up in. You can do all those things to try to reach the next generation. But what they really want is relationship. They want to look at you and say, you're weird, but I like you. And I believe you've got something to say. Right? So the how. How do we pass the baton? How do we communicate that Jesus is life? How do we take this baton of Jesus is life? He's the way, the truth, the life. Actually, in my preparation, I want to share one verse. I'm kind of on a roll here, but this verse is so important and was profound for me. Isaiah 58:11. This is so good. The Lord will guide you continually, giving you water when you're dry and restoring your strength. You will be like a well-watered garden, like an ever-flowing stream. Like, isn't that the goal? Isn't that what we want our lives to look like? Like healthy, whole, flourishing, fruitful. It's right here. Can you throw that verse up there one more time? Thank you. The Lord will guide you continually. Isn't that what we want? We want to be guided. We want to be led. We want to know how to live our life. Giving you water when you're dry. Like when you're so parched, when your life isn't making sense, when you're up against it, you need some water. Restoring your strength when you're not feeling resilient. Jesus is life. He's all those things. He's the water you need. He's the strength you need. You'll be like a well-watered garden, like an ever-flowing stream. Be like, but I've read my Bible and it's just not, I don't like it. Jesus is life. But I've gone to church and it's okay. But I don't feel changed. Jesus is life. Like, don't give up until you experience for yourself that Jesus is life. It's not the American dream. It's not the house on the lake. It's not a family who loves you. It's not all those things. Those things are great. Jesus is life. Because all the rest of those things you can lose. And if you have this, you still have life. You are still flourishing. And it's a miraculous thing. Like your life isn't dependent on all the things going right. Like, I wish we were having coffee right now. Because that seemed like a more appropriate place to do this. But like, I want to look you in your eyes and say, Jesus is life. And I'm experiencing this more and more in my own life. So I can tell you, this isn't a theory. I'm actually experiencing this. Jesus is life. So how do we do that? What is the mechanism for passing the baton to the next generation? What's it look like? I don't know. It's messy. Here's what we need to do. We need to identify the next generation around us. And they said this in the video, like, look in your circles. If you want to impact the next generation, you have to know where they're at. In my family, I'm surrounded by them, right? You might not have that luxury. Maybe Gen Z isn't in your life. Identify, where are they? Like, pray that God gives you eyes to see the next generation. Maybe they're checking you out at the grocery store. Maybe they're your kid's babysitter. I don't know where they are. I don't know. I do know that the next generation is within reach. Even if you have retired to the house on the lake, somewhere nearby is the next generation. For me, like I said, it's easy, but to see beyond my own family, I actually need to pray that God changes my up here view of the world to a down here view of the world. Because when we isolate and insulate ourselves, we can get the not my circus, not my monkeys attitude. You know what I'm talking about? Like just living my life. I'm living the good life. Oh my word, that's a mess. Not my circus, not my monkeys. And just living your life. Pray. If you really believe that our mission is to pass the baton to the next generation, pray that God opens your eyes and lets you identify the next generation. The next step is to understand. And they said this in the video, and I didn't craft this about it. It's true. Pray to understand. Not to change, just to know where are they? How are they? Where are they in this process? How are they figuring life out? What are their sources of information? With empathy, not like to fix, right? To understand. Like, you can't have a relationship with somebody that you don't understand. So have a conversation to understand. And this baton pass is a bad analogy because it's probably more like a walk than a run, let's be honest. Like, we're not sprinting and we're walking with each other. The next step is to invite somebody from the next generation that you have sat down with and understood. Invite them to walk along with you. Invite them to walk with you. Like, you may not be here yet, but you're heading that direction. And so you can invite them to head that direction with you. Like, listen, I'm just a beggar telling another beggar where the bread's at. And that's where I am. I'm just a beggar telling another beggar where the bread. I'm just a leper telling the city, there's a camp that's empty and the plunder's out there. The loot is out there. And just invite him along. Like, I don't have this right, but would you like to walk with me as I've heard that Jesus is life. Can we just walk with me? Let's walk together. And then the scary part is to pass the baton. Like, there will come a time when one generation is done, right? And this baton is in the hands of the next generation. In my own family, I'm experiencing this. I have adult children. I have passed along, honestly, as much as I can in some ways. There's still work to do. But in that passing, like picture the baton rate, like what happens after the baton is passed? This person stops, right? And the other person runs with their own flavor, their own pace. For a little bit, they're in sync, right? They're in sync. But after a bit, the baton is passed, and they move on in their own way. And we can pray for the next generation as they have the baton, that they don't drop it, that their pace is good, as they put their own spin on what it looks like to follow Jesus. That's scary, isn't it? And honestly, this is a tension in my own life. As I pass the baton to my kids, they're not following Jesus like I think they should follow Jesus. And that's scary. Here's the good news. Jesus is in all of this. He's not a passive baton. He's also in this whole thing. Like, he's in your willingness. If you feel a little bit of willingness to affect the next generation, that's Jesus in you. If you see someone that you feel this pull toward in the next generation, that's Jesus in you. If you are walking together and seeing life change in yourself and in this person in the next generation, that's Jesus in the situation. And as that baton is passed to the next generation and they're on with it, Jesus has them. It's messy. Like, free will and all that, it's a mess. It's a something show. But, it's a mess. It's messy. Are we willing to enter that mess, to leave our places of isolation and insulation and get a little bit messy with the next generation and expose a little bit of our mess in the process? Are we willing to do that? Because the really good news is that it's his circus and his monkeys, right? We're his circus, we're his monkeys, and we are being or can be led through this whole process. And it is going to be good. Next series we're going to talk about is Psalm 23. The Lord is my shepherd. Check this promotional video out. This is where we're going next week.
Psalm 23 is perhaps the best known and most loved psalm. Written by King David, this short passage falls naturally into 3 sections. It begins by describing a place of deep, intimate relationship with God, described as green pastures and still waters. From this place, where our souls become healthy, we are led into the valley of shadow of death. The God who we met by the still waters is still with us and assists us as we deal with life's difficulties. Finally, in the last verse, the very real goodness and mercy of God is celebrated, along with the promise that when we breathe our last, we are only beginning to dwell in the presence of God forever. In just 6 verses, David covers the way we connect with God in a real, deep, transforming relationship. This is a practical, honest, and hopeful psalm, one worthy of deep thought and reflection.
God of Abraham, you're the God of covenant and faithful promises. Time and time again, you have proven you'll do just what you say. Though the storms may come and the winds may blow, I'll remain steadfast and let my heart learn when you speak a word, it will come to pass. Great is your faithfulness to me. Great is your faithfulness to me. From the rising sun to the setting same, I will praise your name. Great is your faithfulness to me. God, from age to age, though the earth may pass away, your word remains the same. Yeah, your history can prove there's nothing you can't do. You're faithful and true. Though the storms may come and the winds may blow, I'll remain steadfast and let my heart learn when you speak a word, it will come to pass. Great to me.
Amen. Lord God, as we look back, there are so many accounts down through the ages of your faithfulness, the ways you've moved. And it's still true today. We still see you moving. We know your word is good. You're true on your promises. We praise your name and we give you thanks. Amen. I'm calling on the God of Jacob, whose love endures through generations. I know that you will keep your covenant. I'm calling on the God of Moses, the one who opened up the ocean. I need you now to do the same thing for me. Oh God, my God, I need you. Oh God, my God, I need you now. How I need you now. Oh rock of ages, I'm standing on your faithfulness, on your faithfulness. I'm calling on the God of Mary, whose favor rests upon the lowly. I know with you all things are possible. I'm calling on the God of David, who made a shepherd boy courageous. I may not face Goliath, but I've got my own giants. Oh God, my God, I need you. Oh God, my God, I need you now. How I need you now. Oh rock of ages, I'm standing on your faithfulness, on your faithfulness. Oh God, my God, I need you. Oh God, my God, I need you now. How I need you now. Oh rock of ages, I'm standing on your faithfulness, on your faithfulness. You heard your children then, you hear your children now. You are the same God, you are the same God. You answered prayers back then, and you will answer now. You are the same God, you are the same God. You were providing then, and you are providing now. You are the same God, you are the same God. You moved in power then, God move in power now. You are the same God, you are the same God. You were a healer now, you were a healer now. You are the same God, I'm standing on your faithfulness, on your faithfulness. Oh God, my God, I need you. Oh God, my God, I need you now. How I need you now. Oh rock of ages, I'm standing on your faithfulness, on your faithfulness. Oh God, my God, I need you. Oh God, my God, I need you now. How I need you now. Oh rock of ages, I'm standing on your faithfulness, on your faithfulness. You're the same God.
God's working here. I hope I ruined paper towels for you today. I hope that every time you take a paper towel, you think about Jesus' life. And I hope that if you haven't experienced that, you don't rest until you have. And if you have experienced it, please pass this along to the next generation. Not so our way of life can be preserved or our country. It's not about that. It's about them. It's about them finding life. It's about us finding life. It's about Jesus. It's about him being life. I'm just going to pray. Jesus, thank you for being here today. Thank you for opening up the way for us to experience life through you. Like on our own, you know, we don't chase after you. We don't even want you. But you took that step, that messy step, and you became man. You put skin on so that we could touch you and feel you, and you lived this hard human existence. And as you did that, you were fully connected with the Father. But you're more than our example. You are life. So I pray that you will continue this tug on our hearts, this ache, and help us lean into it. Help us want you more. Thank you that you don't give up on us. As sheep are wandering away and distracted and caught up in our own thing, and you don't give up on us. You're faithful. You're always there. You're always reaching out. Even when it seems like your back is turned on us, it's not. And you can heal us, and you can bring wholeness to us, and you can bring fruitfulness to us. And it's all about you. So change us, break us, change us, infuse us. Be present here with us. We want to love you. And we do love you. Help us love you more. In Jesus' name, Amen.